Hey guys, what's going on? Jaimi Alexander here. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. For those of you who are used to seeing me, same girl, new look. Okay, so I usually wear a wig because it's a protective style. I can't be having my little hair just out and maintaining it and keeping it moist and out in the air. So this is after a wash, a really good wash. My little hair is growing and I love it. I love my natural hair. But you know, the protective styles they work, especially because I work full time. I be having to go. But anyway, I thought I would do this video with you guys because obviously we all have more time. And while I twist up my hair, I am going to listen to an audiobook called Evolve Your Brain by Joe Dispenza. So I felt like this is the kind of video you can let play. I'm not talking and being all crazy with my antics. I might have a side note here and there, but we're just gonna listen to an audiobook together while you get ready with me. Not gonna be the kind of transformation you're hoping for. It's just gonna be a little twist and keeping my hair together. So if you're doing your hair, maybe this is a good time for you to sit down and get your twist together while we listen to some mind-evolving content, which is what I love to do in my free time. Let's go. Like, subscribe, share, all the things.
Forward.
Evolve Your Brain by
Since
Joe
you are
Dispenza.
listening to this book, you may already be aware of the paradigm shift that is going on in science. In the old paradigm, your consciousness, you, is regarded as an epiphenomenon of your brain. In the new paradigm, your consciousness is the ground of being, and your brain is the epiphenomenon. Feel better? Then you are ready to reap the benefit of this book. If consciousness is the primary ground and brain is secondary, then it is natural to ask how to use the brain in an optimal fashion to fulfill the purpose of consciousness and its evolution. The new paradigm research has been going on for a while, but this is the first book that addresses this question and brilliantly guides you toward that end. Truly, Dr. Joe Dispenza has written a user's manual par excellence for the brain from the new primacy of consciousness perspective. Dr. Dispenza, not being a quantum physicist, does keep the primacy of consciousness implicit, not explicit, until the very end of the book. Because it requires quantum physics to see the primacy of consciousness explicitly, it may be useful for you, dear listener, to receive a little background information from a quantum physicist. Hence, this foreword. To go back to the beginning of the new paradigm revolution, quantum physics has a fundamental interpretational problem. It depicts objects not as determined things, but as waves of possibility. How do these possibilities become actual things of our experience when we observe or measure them? If you think that our brain, being the site of us or our consciousness, has the capacity to change possibility into actuality, think again. According to quantum physics, the brain itself consists of quantum possibilities before we measure it, before we observe with it. If we, our consciousness, were a brain product, we would be possibilities as well, and our coupling with the object would change neither the object nor us, our brain, from possibility to actuality. Face it, possibility coupled to possibility only makes a bigger possibility.
I love possibilities.
The paradox only thickens if you think of yourself dualistically. You as a non-material dual entity, not bound by quantum laws and separate from your brain. But if you are non-material, then how do you interact with your brain, with which you have not a thing in common? This is dualism, a philosophy intractable as science. There is a third way of thinking, and this one leads to a paradigm shift. Your consciousness is the primary fabric of reality, and matter, including the brain and the object you are observing, exists within this fabric as quantum possibilities. Your observation consists of choosing from the possibilities the one facet that becomes the actuality of your experience. Physicists call this process the collapse of the quantum possibility wave. Once you recognize that your consciousness is not your brain, but transcends it, once you recognize that you have the power to choose among possibilities, you are ready to act on Joe Dispenza's ideas and suggestions. It will help, additionally, to know that the you that chooses is a cosmic you, a state of consciousness available to you in non-ordinary situations. You reach such states when you have a creative insight. In those times, you are ready to make changes in your brain circuits. Dr. Dispenza shows you how. There is another reason that I think Dr. Joe Dispenza's book is a welcome addition to the growing literature of the new paradigm of science. He emphasizes the importance of paying attention to emotions. You may already have heard the phrase emotional intelligence. What does that mean? First of all, it means that you don't have to fall prey to your emotions. You do because you are attached to them, or as Joe Dispenza would say, you are attached to the brain circuits connected with the emotions. There's a story.
Okay, so y'all hear that? I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm super emotional. And a lot of the times when we are reacting to things from an emotional standpoint, we are reacting instead of acting from an authentic and calm place. So why I chose Evolve Your Brain is because I'm interested in learning about the science it takes to understand how to actually grow and change yourself. I want to work with the molecules and what I've been innately given in a scientific standpoint to help assist with my moods, emotions, leadership, growth, purpose, clarity, spirituality, everything. So hopefully you guys are following, as I'm sure you are.
That when Albert Einstein was leaving Nazi Germany for America, his wife became very concerned that she had to leave behind so much furniture and other household items. I am attached to them, she complained to a friend. To this, Einstein joked, but my dear, they are not attached to you. This is the thing. Emotions are not attached to you. Because you are not your brain, you don't have to identify with your existing brain circuits. With regard to the concept of emotional intelligence, some writers are a little confused. They talk about emotional intelligence and how you can develop it, but they also insist that you are nothing but the brain. The problem in thinking that way is that the brain is already set up in a hierarchical relationship with the emotions. Emotional intelligence is possible only if you can change this existing hierarchy, only if you are not part of that hierarchy. Joe Dispenza recognizes the primacy of you, your consciousness, over your brain. And by doing so, he gives you some useful advice about emotional intelligence, about how to change your existing brain circuits and hierarchies. Gandhi's wife was once asked by a journalist how Gandhi could accomplish so much. Simple, said the wife. Gandhi is congruent in regards to his speech, thought, and action. All of us want to be good accomplishers. We want to fulfill them.
Being congruent in speech, thought, and action. Mean what you say, do what you say, be who you are, like let it be congruent. Whew, that's good. Gandhi.
Meaning and purpose of our lives. The crucial challenge is how to achieve synchrony between speech, thought, and action. Put another way, the challenge is to integrate thought and emotion. I believe that the evolution of consciousness demands this from us right now. Recognizing this, Joe Dispenza has provided indispensable knowledge on how you can integrate your feelings and thinking. I met Dr. Joe for the first time at a What the Bleep Do We Know conference. This movie, as you may know, is about a young woman who is struggling to change her emotional behavior. In a scene of catharsis, played beautifully by actress Marlee Matlin, the woman looks at her image in a mirror and says, "I hate you." In that moment, she frees herself to choose among quantum possibilities of change. She goes on to transform her brain circuits, creating a new state of being and a new life. You can change your brain circuits too. You have that power of quantum choice. We have always had the tools to do this, but only now have we become aware of how to use them. Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Evolve Your Brain, will help you use your power to choose and to change. Listen to this book, use its ideas in your life, and realize your potential. Amit Goswami, PhD, Professor of Physics, University of Oregon, and author of The Self-Aware Universe. Chapter 1. Beginnings. But strange that I was not told that the brain can hold in a tiny ivory cell God's heaven or hell. Oscar Wilde. I invite you to have a single thought, any thought, whether your thought was related to a feeling of anger, sadness, inspiration, joy, or even sexual arousal. You changed your body. You changed you. All thoughts, whether they be I can't, I can, I'm not good enough, or I love you, have the same measurable effects. As you casually listen to this book, bear in mind that your body is undergoing a host of dynamic changes. Triggered by your most recent thought, did you know that suddenly your pancreas and your adrenal glands are already busy secreting a few new hormones? Like a sudden lightning storm, different areas of your brain just surged with increased electrical current, releasing a mob of neurochemicals that are too numerous to name. Your spleen and your thymus gland sent out a mass email to your immune system to make a few modifications. Several different gastric juices started flowing. Your liver began processing enzymes that were not present moments before. Your heart rate fluctuated, your lungs altered their stroke volume, and blood flow to the capillaries in your hands and feet changed. All from just thinking one thought. You are that powerful. But how are you capable of performing all those actions? We can all intellectually understand that the brain can manage and regulate many diverse functions throughout the rest of the body. But how responsible are we for the job our brain is doing as CEO of the body? Whether we like it or not, once a thought happens in the brain, the rest is history. All of the bodily reactions that occur from both our intentional and unintentional thinking unfold behind the scenes of our awareness.
So do you guys realize so we always hear when we see memes, thoughts are things, think positive, what we think about we become. Cool, but I like to know how that works. Why? I want to get to when I get more in depth into the bottom of things, I'm able to wrap my mind around it, if you will. It's one thing just to hear thoughts are things and whatever you think about happens. That's very vague to me. I like to go a little bit deeper and understand a little bit more about exactly how are my thoughts things. So what we're hearing thus far is not only a breakdown of quantum physics, but how the brain works. They asked us to think of a thought, and whatever it was about, joy, happiness, fear, whatever it was, what you got to do, anything, they just named like 8 parts of the body that fire off and secrete different juices and different things that happen within our body just off of one thought. And that's something that's a natural reaction that our body's just doing because that's how it's designed. I love, understanding how the body's designed.
When you come right down to it, it is startling to realize how influential and extensive the effects of 1 or 2 conscious or unconscious thoughts can be. For example, is it possible that the seemingly unconscious thoughts that run through our mind daily and repeatedly create a cascade of chemical reactions that produce not only what we feel, but also how we feel? Can we accept that the long-term effects of our habitual thinking just might be the cause of how our body moves to a state of imbalance, or what we call disease? Is it likely, moment by moment, that we train our body to be unhealthy by our repeated thoughts and reactions? What if just by thinking we cause our internal chemistry to be bumped out of normal range so often that the body's self-regulation system eventually redefines these abnormal states as normal, regular states?
So you guys hear that? It's like we can think ourselves and trick our body into, they said a cascade of secretions, like if our pancreas and our thymus gland and all these things are secreting when we think one thought. If we think one pattern of thought in the same direction for so long, then your body starts to adjust like, oh, this is normal. This is what it's supposed to be doing. And this is the part of me that thinks when I'm having a hard time getting over something, or why do I keep reacting this way? Or why do I keep getting sad about the same thing? A part of me thinks there's a part of my body that might be addicted to or trying to adjust to that old way of thinking. So therefore, I really need to work to consistently pull myself back because I got to get off that old operating system. That's what I'm hearing. Comment below if you're finding value in this.
It's a subtle process, but maybe we just never gave it that much attention until now. My wish is that this book will offer a few suggestions for managing your own internal universe. Since we're on the subject of attention, now I want you to pay attention, become aware, and listen. Can you hear the hum of the refrigerator? The sound of a car passing by your home? A distant dog barking? How about the resonance of your own heart beating? Just by shifting your attention in those moments, you caused a power surge and voltage flux of electricity in millions of brain cells right inside your own head. By choosing to modify your awareness, you changed your brain. Not only did you change how your brain was working moments before, but you changed how it will work in the next moment and possibly for the rest of your life.
Wow.
As you returned your attention to this book, you altered blood flow to various parts of your brain. You also set off a cascade of impulses, rerouting and modifying electrical currents to different brain areas. On a microscopic level, a multitude of diverse nerve cells ganged up chemically to hold hands and communicate in order to establish stronger, long-term relationships with each other. Because of your shift in attention, the shimmering three-dimensional web of intricate neurological tissue that is your brain is firing in new combinations and sequences. You did that of your own free will. By changing your focus, you quite literally changed your mind. As human beings, we have the natural ability to focus our awareness on anything. As we will learn how and where we place our attention, what we place our attention on, and for how long we place it ultimately defines us on a neurological level.
What we place our attention on and how long we place our attention on that thing defines us on a neurological level. If your attention is always on how you're going to make ends meet, or I got to go here, I got to go there and drop this person off and get this and be there and do that and pay this and or oh my God, they broke up with me. What if this guy breaks up with me? I'm, don't want to do this. You see what I'm saying? The way we obsess about things or the way we move in day to day literally has a huge effect on our entire neurological body.
Awareness is so mobile. Why is it so hard to keep our attention on thoughts that might serve us? Right now, as you continue to concentrate and listen, you might have forgotten about the pain in your back, the disagreement you had with your boss earlier today, or even what gender you are. It is where we place our attention and on what we place our attention that maps the very course of our state of being. For example, we can, in any given moment, think about a bitter memory from our past that is only tattooed in the intimate folds of our gray matter, and like magic, it comes to life. We also have the option of attending to future anxieties and worries that do not readily exist until they are conjured up by our own mind. But to us, they are real. Our attention brings everything to life and makes real what was previously unnoticed or unreal.
Do you see that, y'all? So if we can get scared and think, oh my God, if I lose my job tomorrow because of the coronavirus, then I can't pay my rent next month and I can't get this, what's gonna happen? Why are we thinking so far ahead? Why are we being so scared and so preventative? I know things can be scary. The unknown can be frightening, but by what this is saying is if we can change our lives by what we focus on, now it just doesn't become, oh, thoughts are things, focus on positive. It's like, wait a minute, I know that every organ in my body is moving when I think of a certain thing. I feel like it gives us more power to be intentional about what we're thinking about, not just think positive. When you say think positive and just leave it at that, it kind of makes you feel almost delusional in the sense where it's like, but I'm hurting right now. What do you mean think positive? Like, But at the same time, I think understanding the depths of what we're listening to now shows you, okay, you can be upset, that hurt, you can also acknowledge it, but you don't have to hang on to it. Have your moment. But this isn't about, skipping over that. It's about managing our emotions and the way we think responsibly.
Believe it or not, according to neuroscience, placing our attention on pain in the body makes pain exist because the circuits in the brain that perceive pain become electrically activated. If we then put our full awareness on something other than pain, the brain circuits that process pain and bodily sensations can be literally turned off, and presto, the pain goes away. But when we look to see whether the pain is gone for good, the corresponding brain circuits once again activate, causing us to feel the discomfort return. And if these brain circuits repeatedly fire, the connections between them become stronger. Thus, by paying attention to pain on a daily basis, we are wiring ourselves neurologically to develop a more acute awareness of pain perception because the related brain circuits become more enriched.
Do you guys see that? Now think about if you focus on the pain in your back and you're like, oh, I have back pain, then you start to fire off those parts in your brain that say, oh, I have back pain, then the pain parts fire off. What do you think happens when we get heartbroken? And just stay on that. I don't want anything firing off in my life that prevents me from living an open-hearted life.
Your own personal attention has that much of an effect on you. This could be one explanation to how pain and even memories from our distant past characterize us. What we repeatedly think about and where we focus our attention is what we neurologically become. Neuroscience finally understands that we can mold and shape the neurological framework of the self by the repeated attention we give to any one thing. Everything that makes us up, the you and the me, our thoughts, our dreams, our memories, our hopes, our feelings, our secret fantasies, our fears, our skills, our habits, our pains, and our joys, is etched in the living latticework of our 100 billion brain cells. By the time you've listened this far in the book, you have changed your brain permanently. If you learned even one bit of information, tiny brain cells have made new connections between them, and who you are is altered. The images that these words created in your mind have left footprints in the vast, endless fields of neurological landscape that is the identity called you. This is because the you, as a sentient being, is immersed and truly exists in the interconnected electrical web of cellular brain tissue. How your nerve cells are specifically arranged or neurologically wired based on what you learn, what you remember, what you experience, what you envision for yourself, what you do, and how you think about yourself defines you as an individual. You are a work in progress. The organization of brain cells that makes up who you are is constantly in flux. Forget the notion that the brain is static, rigid, and fixed. Instead, brain cells are continually remolded and reorganized by our thoughts and experiences. Neurologically, we are repeatedly changed by the endless stimuli in the world. Instead of imagining nerve cells as solid, inflexible, tiny sticks that are assembled together to make up your brain's gray matter, I invite you to see them as dancing patterns of delicate electric fibers in an animated web, connecting and disconnecting all the time. This is much closer to the truth of who you are. The fact that you can comprehend these words is due to the many interactions you have had throughout your life. Different people taught you, instructed you, and essentially changed your brain microscopically. If you accept this notion that your brain is still changing as you listen to this book, you can easily see that your parents, teachers, neighbors, friends, family, and culture have contributed to who you are presently. It is our senses, through our diverse experiences, that write the story of who we are on the tablet of our mind. Our mastery is being the fine conductor of this remarkable orchestra of brain and mind. And as we have just heard, we can direct the affairs of mental activity. Now, let's change your brain.
Direct the affairs of mental, what was it? Direct the affairs of mental activity. Direct the affairs of mental activity. Don't just change your mind. Direct the affairs of mental activity. That sounds like so much more intentional. That's a much bigger job.
A little further. I want to teach you a new skill. Here are the instructions. Look at your right hand. Touch your thumb to your pinky finger, and then touch your thumb to your index finger. Next, touch your thumb to your ring finger, and then touch your thumb to your middle finger. Repeat the process until you can do it automatically. Now, do it faster, and make your fingers move more rapidly without mistake. Within a few minutes of paying attention, you should be able to master the action. To learn the finger movements well, you had to rise out of your resting state to a heightened state of conscious awareness. Voluntarily, you perked up your brain a little. You increased your level of awareness by your intentional free will. To succeed in memorizing this skill, you also had to increase your brain's level of energy. You turned up the dimmer switch to the light bulb in your brain that is constantly on, and it got brighter. You became motivated, and your choice to do this made your brain turn on. Learning and performing the activity required you to amplify your level of awareness. By increasing blood flow and electrical activity to different areas in your brain, you could stay more present with what you were doing. You kept your brain from wandering to any other thought so that you could learn a new action, and that process took energy. You changed the way the arrangement of millions of brain cells fired in diverse patterns. Your intentional act took will, focus, and attention. The end result is that you are once again neurologically changed. Not only
Do we ever think this deep? Now that we've slowed down, I think it's an opportunity to think this deep. Look at all of the movement that's happening in our body based off of just moving our fingers. I respect that.
by thinking a thought, but also by demonstrating an action or a new skill. In a moment, I want you to close your eyes. This time, instead of physically demonstrating the finger exercise, I want you to practice doing that same action in your mind. That is, remember what you did just moments before and mentally touch each finger the way I asked you to earlier. Thumb to pinky finger, thumb to index finger, thumb to ring finger, and thumb to middle finger. Mentally rehearse the activity without physically doing it. Do it a few times in your mind, and then open your eyes. Did you notice that while you were practicing in your mind, your brain seemed to imagine the entire sequence just as you actually did it? In fact, if you paid full attention to what you were rehearsing in your mind's eye, by focusing on mentally practicing those finger actions, you fired the same set of nerve cells in the same part of your brain as if you were actually doing them. In other words, your brain did not know the difference between your doing the action or your remembering how to do the action. The act of mental rehearsal is a powerful way you can grow and mold new circuits in your brain. Recent studies in neuroscience demonstrate that we can change our brain just by thinking. So ask yourself, what exactly do you spend most of your time mentally rehearsing, thinking about, and finally, demonstrating?
Good question.
Whether you consciously or unconsciously fabricate your thoughts and actions, you are always affirming and reaffirming your neurological self as you. Keep in mind that whatever you spend your time mentally attending to, that is what you are and what you will become. My hope is that this book will help you to understand why you are the way you are, how you got this way, and what it takes to change who you are through your intentional thoughts and actions. You may ask at this point, what is it that allows us to voluntarily modify how the brain works? Where does the you exist? And what allows you to turn on and off different brain circuits that then make you aware or unaware? The you I'm talking about operates and lives in a part of the brain called the frontal lobe. And without the frontal lobe, you are no longer you. In evolution, the frontal lobe has been the last part of the brain to develop, just behind the forehead and right above the eyes. You hold the image of yourself in the frontal lobe, and what you hold in this special place determines how you interact in the world and perceive reality. The frontal lobe controls and regulates other older parts of the brain. The frontal lobe navigates your future, controls your behavior, dreams of new possibilities, and guides you throughout life. It is the seat of your conscience. The frontal lobe is evolution's gift to you. This brain region is most adaptable to change and is the means by which you evolve your thoughts and actions. My desire is that this book helps you to use this newest, most recent part of your brain's anatomy to reshape your brain and your destiny.
All right, you guys. So, I mean, to some people, it might be a total snooze fest, but for me, this is the perfect thing to spend time on while we've got this time off. I hope you guys found value in this. This is a 30-minute video. What you heard was the very beginning of Evolve Your Brain by Joe Dispenza. If you found value in this, let me know below. I have a suite of books that I listen to and I want to share with you guys. So if you're down to, braid your hair, do your face mask, lay down and listen to something with me, then that's dope. Let's just see how that goes. Because y'all see I'm gonna be here for a while. I'm so proud of my hair growth. I'm just twisting it. I washed it and then I had put moisturizer and then oil on top because another YouTuber taught me that to lock in the moisture. That's the only reason that this fro is still wet because I've been sitting here for a while. But thank you guys for getting ready with me a little bit, getting ready to be in the house. It was nice to just kind of sit with you and share in a different way. And I'm just going to have fun with my YouTube videos since we're all here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. This will get done. Thanks for rocking with me. And I'll come back with another book. I got a really exciting one. But I'll share that another time. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.